Good morning, students. Welcome to Class 8 Science. My name is Manikyam. So today we are going to start the first chapter of Class 8 Science, that is crop production and management. Understand? So we know that we are used to observe so many kind of living organisms in our nature, like man, animals, plants, understanding, mosquitoes, everything is like a flies, different kind of thing. So every kind of living organism they need food. Is it correct or not? Every different kind of living organism, they will require a different kind of food. Understanding? See, few plants, they will what we can say, that they will synthesize their food, they will make their own food. And few animals will eat their will eat that plants, and that few animals will eat that plants as well as the animals also. So like that, everybody is they require some kind of food for their growth, for their growth, and the survival of life, and their survival. So here if we'll consider few fellows, means like a few living organisms, they are producing their own food. Understanding? And few other living organisms, they are depending on some other organisms for their food, for their what we can say, for their making their food. So here if we'll observe few living organisms like a green plants, if we'll consider green plants. So we know that green plants means the plants which is having a green in color, green leaves is called as green plants. So these green plants, we know that they can synthesize their food by the process of photosynthesis. So we know that photosynthesis, we have studied in even lower classes. Photosynthesis by using substances like carbon dioxide and water, understanding, in the presence of sunlight energy. Correct or not? So that is only we can call as photosynthesis reaction. So the production of food, understanding, by using an carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight energy is called as photosynthesis reaction. So this photosynthesis reaction only will take place the plants which contains a green color leaves. Understanding? So the green color leaves, why these plants is containing green color leaves? They contains chlorophyll. Understanding? So because of this chlorophyll, it is a green color pigment which is present in leaves. So due to this green color leaves only, they are producing the food. They are making their own food. They are making their own food. Understanding? Not depend on any other other living organisms, by utilizing the carbon dioxide and water. Understanding? In the presence of sunlight energy. Like if we'll consider man and other kind of animals, suppose ours only, they cannot make their food by photosynthesis. Is it correct or not? Yes, because we are not having the chlorophyll. Understanding? So the man and other animals cannot make food by photosynthesis from carbon dioxide gas and water by using sunlight energy. Understanding? So because of this reason, they are unable to make their own food. So they always need ready-made. Understanding? Ready-made, like a ready-made clothes is always a ready-made food. Ready-made, understanding, organic food. Ready-made organic food. Ready-made organic food. Nutrients like carbohydrates, fats, proteins, understanding, vitamins, etc., which is useful for our body. So always they require ready-made food organisms. Understanding? Food, organic food. Understanding? Nutrients. Organic food, nutrients, like that food must contains carbohydrates. Understanding? Like fats. Understand? Proteins, etc. Then only we can consume, we can eat that food. For their, why they are taking these all kind of foods, ready-made foods? For their growth and understanding and their development. For their growth and their development, we are taking this kind of ready-made food, organic food, nutrients like carbohydrates, fats and proteins for their growth and their development. For the growth and the development. So we know that these plants, they will obtain their food from their own. They will make their food. They will synthesize their food. But like man and other animals, they always obtain understanding his food from where? They will obtain his food from plants as well as other animals. Understanding? Because we can eat the food which is coming from the plants. Also, we can eat some kind of animals. Correct or not? That is why man always depends, understanding, depends his food, obtains his food from plants and as well as other animals. So man has to grow plants and rear animals to meet his requirements of food. If human wants to get a food, because human always gets the food from where? From the plants and other animals. So if he needs to meet his understanding requirements of food, he needs to grow the plants. If you will grow the plants, then only plants will give food. You need to grow plants, and also we have to rear animals. Understanding? Rare animals. So what is the meaning of rare? Rearing or rare means, understanding, bring up animals. Bring up. That is also growing only. Understanding? Bring up animals. Rearing. Understanding? Rare animals means bring up animals to meet his requirement of food. If you want to get a food as a human, if you need food, then you have to grow some kind of plants. Understanding? That is only cultivation. Or else you have to rear animals. You have to grow the animals for meet your food supply. Understand? Requirement of food. So many types of plants. We know that plants, if you consider, many types of plants are grown on a large scale in a vast, very, very big fields. Correct or not? Because why we are cultivating that? The food grains produced by them are consumed in a large amounts. That is why we are doing that. Understanding? So many types of plants are grown on a large scale in vast fields because the food grains produced by things. The food grains. Understanding? Food grains produced by them are consumed in a large amounts. Understanding? Suppose if we'll take wheat and rice. Wheat. Understanding? Wheat and rice are two common examples of the crops, means are plants. Okay, so these are only called as, what we used to call this wheat and rice, this we used to call as food grains. What we used to call? These are called as food grains. Food grains. So in addition to these food grains, also we can use, understanding, like pulses, different kind of pulses we can use, and also we'll use vegetables. Understanding, and even different kind of fruits we will eat because to meet our requirement of food. Also grown on a large scale, this kind of pulses, vegetables, fruits also will grow on a large scale because they are also important part of our food. That is why this is also we are cultivating. So the animals such as, if you consider cow and buffalo. So what is the use of cow and buffalo? Cow and buffalo. So if you take cow and buffalo everywhere, we used to rear them to obtain milk. Is it correct or not? To getting the milk. That is a milk production from them. Whereas like if you consider goat, fish and hen, they are also we are rearing that kind of also to get, why? To get meat and the eggs. To get meat, non-veg, meat and the eggs. We are rearing. We are reared. We can call it reared. R-E-A-R-E-D. Reared to get meat and eggs. Understanding? So in this chapter, we will study the different practices of obtaining food from both plants and, understanding, animals as well as animals. So before going to understanding a further discussion, we should know the meaning of the word called as crop. Understanding what is crop. So in the chapter, what we will study? We will study the different practices of, means different kind of methods or processes of obtaining food from both plants, understanding, as well as animals. So before going to the further discussion, we need to know, first we need to know the meaning of crops or crop. So we know that already. If anything, when we say that it is a crop, so if any kind of the same kind of, remember, when the same kind of plants, particular, remember, suppose what is crop? Next heading is what is crops. So if you consider crops, when the same kind of plants, you remember, when the same kind of plants are grown in the fields on a large scale to obtain food, like, understanding what I'm saying, when the same kind of plants are grown in the fields, on a very large scale, okay, to obtain food, to obtain different kind of foods, to obtain different kinds of food, Suppose if you consider, for example, so what is the different kind of food? If you consider like cereals, so cereals, we know that. What is the meaning? Different kind of cereals, we know. So cereals, if you consider cereals like rice, understanding, wheat, rice, maize. So this is all called as cereals. Like if you consider pulses, only if you can cultivate pulses, that is also food. That is also called crops only. Pulses, like vegetables, understanding, and different kind of fruits, like etc. So what I'm saying here, it is a called as crop. When you are cultivating any kind of remember, same kind of plants, either maybe a wheat plant, or maybe a rice plant, or maybe a maize plant, or maybe some kind of pulse plant, or else one kind of vegetable, or else one kind of fruit. If you are cultivating the same kind of plants are grown in the fields on a large scale, to obtain different kind of foods like cereals, understanding, and pulses, vegetables and fruits is, understanding, it called a crop. Understand? For example, if you consider a crop of wheat, what is the meaning of a crop? A crop of wheat. So what is the meaning of a crop of wheat? A crop of wheat means that all the plants grown in a particular field are that of wheat. Understanding? If we consider, suppose this is our field, then here a crop of wheat. This field is a crop of wheat. What does that mean? So all the plants grown in this field are wheat plants. Then only you can say that it is a crop of wheat. Understanding? So a crop is called, understanding, is also we can called fossil, FASAL. So fossil is also called as crop, but this fossil is a word which is taken from our national language called as Hindi. Understanding? In Hindi, we used to call that crop is a fossil. Understanding? So crops are grown in the soil, in the fields by, who will cultivate these crops? Farmers. Who will cultivate? We can call them as farmers. So these farmers only, even we can see that also farmers, we can call a common word in India, that is called as Kisan. See, all we know that even it's like a Narendra Modi PM's schemes and all. We can say that Kisan Yojana, that all the schemes. So Kisan means here what? It is belongs to farmers. Understanding? So that is why farmers we can call them as Kisan. So if we'll consider, now we'll study who will cultivate the crops? Farmers. So now we'll study a few kind of examples of crops. Understanding? And then exam. Okay. So you just keep heading. So examples of crops. What is our next concept? Examples of different kind of crops. Different, understanding. So here, if you consider first cereal crops, different kind of crops. What is the first one? cereals, understanding cereal crops. So if you consider the cereal crops, we know that what it will comes. So cereal crops under first one is what? Wheat, understanding, and rice. So rice we can call it as what? Paddy. So paddy fields means rice fields. We have studied in lower classes also. Rice, maize, like that. Millet. Understand? This is one kind of cereal crop. Millet and including barley. So these are the cereal crops. Like that, if we'll take, see cereal crops also we can call it as grain crops. What we used to call? Grain crops. Understanding? Like that, if you'll consider the next type of crops is called as pulses. So if you consider the pulses, you tell me what is the different kind of pulses, you know? We know that different kind of gram. So gram means what we used to call chana. Understand? They're in a big size. Chana, grams, peas and beans. Grams, understanding, peas and beans are called as pulses. Like that, if we consider the third type of crops are called as oil seeds. What we used to call oil seeds means the seeds which we are producing. Understanding? The oil which we are producing from the different kind of seeds are called as oil seeds. So if we consider oil seeds, the well-known oil seeds which we know that is what? Mustard oil, understanding, and groundnut, sunflower, sunflower. This is all edible oils which we are using for cooking. Correct or not? Sunflower oil and groundnut oil. Like that, coconut also you can make. Like that, that is oil seeds. Understanding? But coconut is like a fruit. Understanding? So here vegetables. If you consider vegetables, vegetable crops. So vegetable crops under what? Vegetables, tomato. Understanding? Cabbage. Like that, spinach. So we know that like so many kind of crops, vegetable crops. Like that, if we consider fruits, the next type of crops is what? Fruits. So fruits means what? If we take banana, apple, grapes, understanding, guava, mango, like different kind of coconut. This all will be different kind of guava, mango, different kind of, these are the different kind of crops, that is cereal crops, pulses, oil seeds, vegetables and fruits and their examples. Okay, now next we are going to study the types of crops. Remember what is that? These are the examples of, understanding, crops. So what we can say that some of the examples of crops, this is cereal crops, pulses, oil seeds and vegetables and fruits. Now we'll study what are the types of crops which we are going to see in our in Indian cultivation or else Indian farmers. Okay, so next heading is what? Types of crops. So we know that different crops grow in, understanding, grow well in different kind of seasons of the year. See, if you'll observe in our surroundings also, same kind of crop cannot grow throughout the year. Only it will grow in particular kind of timing. Then only it will be, we will get the proper yield, proper food. If not, it won't be cultivated properly. So different crops grow well in different seasons of the year. Suppose if we'll consider, a crop may grow well in rainy season during summer, understanding, but it may not grow well in winter season. A particular crop, if we'll consider, it may be grow well in rainy season during summer, understanding, rainy season during summer, but it may not grow well in winter season. Similarly, if we'll take some other kind of crops, they may grow well in winter season, but not in rainy season. Understanding? So based on the seasons in which they grow well, all the crops are categorized into two main groups. That is, one is Kharif crops and second one is Rabi crops. What is the first one? Kharif crops and the second one is Rabi crop. Understanding what is the second one? Rabi crops. So how we are classifying this all the crops into Kharif and Rabi crops based on the seasons, means in which they grow well, in which they grow well, means in the winter season or else a rainy season. Understanding rainy season during summer or else it may be a winter season, based upon the which they grow well. We are classifying into Kharif crops and Rabi crops. So if it comes to the Kharif crops now, one after one we'll study in detail. Kharif crops. So the crops which are sown in the rainy seasons are called Kharif crops. Here what I'm saying, the crops which are sown. So what is the meaning of sown? Sown means planting the seeds. Understanding? Sowing we can call it as sowing. Sowing means planting the seeds or small trees and all. Planting the seeds or some kind of plant, small plants is called as planting, is called as sowing. So crops which are sown, understanding, is a past tense. Understanding, sown in the rainy season, are called, what do we used to call? Kharif crops. Understood? So the rainy season in India, we know that generally from when to when? The rainy season in India is from June to September. This is the Kharif season, we can call it as June to September. So now present, which we are in June month only. So means now we are in which crops we can cultivate? Kharif crops. So June to September is the duration in India of the Kharif crops. So the sowing for Kharif crops starts in June, July at the beginning of southwest monsoon. Understanding? See, in class 7th we have studied the different kind of monsoons. Understanding? We are having a southwest monsoon and a southeast monsoon. Correct or not? So when a southwest monsoon, because these crops need, understanding, substantial amount of water. They require a very large amount of water. So that is why these crops will cultivate in the June, July. Understanding? Beginning of June, July. Remember, when it will be, the sowing for Kharif crops starts in, we have to sowing. Understanding? Sowing in June, July month. June, July month at the beginning of southwest monsoon. Beginning of southwest monsoon. Understanding? Monsoon season. Because the crops, particularly in this season, will cultivate paddy. So what is the meaning of paddy? Rice crops. That is why, see, we know that if you want to cultivate rice, we require a very large amount of water. Understand? So that is why we are cultivating rice under Kharif crops, because they need a substantial amount of water. So the Kharif crops are harvested on the end of monsoon season during September. See, here the beginning of monsoon season, southwest monsoon season, we are planting, we are sowing the Kharif crops. And the end of this monsoon season, understanding? So when it will be during the September, or else we can take it's like a few days later, October maybe maximum. So October or September, we will harvesting this Kharif crops. So that is why the season of Kharif crops is in between June to September. Understanding? So if you consider some of the examples of Kharif crops, they are what? They are paddy. So main thing is rice, like maize. Understanding? And millet. Okay? Millet, soya bean, and groundnut. See, now this during this season only we'll sowing the groundnuts also, and including cotton. So cotton. So these are the examples of Kharif crops. So the Kharif crops are sometimes also we can call summer crops. What we can call? summer crops. You remember, few times also we can call these kharif crops summer crops. Here, please, you have to note down that paddy means what? Paddy is rice still in the husk. Here, paddy means what? Paddy means a rice still in the husk. Then we can call it as paddy. We are not removing, understanding? We are not removing from the husk. We are not separating the rice from the husk. Then only it is called as paddy. So paddy crops gives us what? Gives us rice. Understanding? So paddy is a what? Paddy is a rice crop. So paddy is grown only in the rainy seasons because it requires a lot of water. Lots of water. So paddy cannot grow in the winter season because water available in winter is much less. Understanding? Like so, if wheat is sown in the kharif season, it will not grow well because wheat plants cannot tolerate too much of water of the rainy season. See, if you'll observe here, both are under cereals only. Correct or not? Rice versus wheat. Wheat, rice, if you want to cultivate rice, it requires a lots of amount of water. Understanding? It requires a lot of water. Understanding? So this paddy cannot grow in the winter season because water available in winter is much less. So we have to grow this rice in summer season, means in between the June to September. Like that, if we'll consider other kind of crop called as, this is also under cereals, that is wheat. If wheat is sown in the same kind of summer season, means in the along with the rice, it cannot grow well because it cannot tolerate, it cannot resist too much of water of the rainy season. It won't what we can say, it don't have that much stamina to grow in the a lot of amount of water because it requires less amount of water is sufficient which is available in winter season. So that is why this is we can call as winter crop and this is we can call as summer crop, because it required a lot of water, it required less amount of water. If you keep a large amount of water for wheat plants cannot tolerate too much of water of the rainy season. Understanding? That is why we are not cultivating this wheat in summer crops. That is under rabi crops. Understanding? So this is about what? Kharif crops. So kharif crops which are sown in the rainy season are called kharif crops. So examples of what? So it will start in between from June to September. So in the beginning of southwest monsoon, means from June, July, we will sowing the kharif crops and we are harvesting in September, end of the monsoon, it is September or October. So examples is what? Millet, soybean, groundnut, cotton, rice. This is all the examples of kharif crops. Understand? So like that, if we'll take next type of crops is called as what? Rabi crops. You just keep heading. Next one is what? Rabi crops. So just kharif crops, rabi crops are just opposite to kharif crops. So the crops grown in the winter season are called as, see, the crops which are grown in rainy season. Rainy season is called as kharif crops. Like that. The crops which are grown in winter season, remember, winter season are called rabi crops. Understood? So like kharif crops, the time period of rabi crops is generally from October to March. October to March. So this is the beginning of winter season, October to March. So the sowing for rabi crops begins at the beginning of winter. Beginning of winter. So that winter means what? It is in between October to November. October to November. Understanding? And the crops are harvested by March or April. By March or April. This is harvesting. This is harvesting. Harvesting period is March to April and sowing period is October to November. Understand? So some of the examples of Rabi crops are what it is? Wheat, because it requires less amount of water. Wheat and gram. So gram means what? Chana. We can call that chana. And peas and mustard. Understanding? And linseeds also. So lin oil we can get. Linseeds. This is also oil getting seeds. Understanding? So this is all what? The examples of winter crops. So this is called as Rabi crops. Okay. So the people who have no permanent homes, if you'll remember in before, what we can say, if you'll go to, it's like a BC, understanding, thousands, millions of years before, if we'll go, we don't have some kind of a kharif crops and rabi crops, because we don't know anything when it will grow and when it will when we have to harvest, when we have to sowing and all, we don't know. So what is going to happen? This is about kharif and rabi crops, because here now we are developed and we are having a permanent homes and we know about the seasons, because we are having a well technology, everything. So now we are, according to that required amount of water, everything now machinery, instrument, so we are cultivating properly. But if you'll go to the people, those who are not having permanent homes and always continuously move from one place to another, understanding? So that is only we can call it as in ancient humans are called, we can call it as nomads. What we can call? Nomads. So nomads means those who are not having a permanent homes and they are continuously moving from one place to another place, migrants. Understanding? Or also we can call it as wanderers. What we can call? Wanderers. This word will be very useful in English pronunciation. Wanderers. Wanderers or nomads means those who are not having permanent home and continuously they will move from one place to another. Okay. So if you'll consider the till is like about 10,000 BC, about 10,000 BC, understanding? So people were nomadic. We can call them as their people were nomadic, means they are always moving. They are nomadic. So they were continuously moving, understanding, in groups from place to place in search of food and their shelter. So these nomadic people, they used to eat they used to eat what? They used to eat raw fruits and vegetables found in nature, and even they used to started hunting animals for their food. Raw flesh also they used to eat, raw meat. Correct or not? So later, so many changes happened. So they started settled near the, understanding, sources of water such as rivers, and they will start cultivated land to produce wheat, paddy, and other kind of food crops. Correct or not? So this is how the agriculture was born. Before, in during the nomadic period, we don't have a name of agriculture. Once they have settled in a near sources of water, so they, later this is how the agriculture was born. Is after that they have settled in the near water sources in such as rivers, and they have start understanding cultivated land to produce wheat and paddy. Okay, so the growing of plants in the fields for obtaining food, a different kind of food, is called as what? Agriculture. A growing of plant, a growing of plant, different kind of plants in the fields, in the land for obtaining food like wheat, rice, cereals. Understanding? What we can say that peas, mustard, wheat, different kind of thing is called agriculture. So agriculture, understanding what is agriculture? Agriculture is a growing of plants in the fields to obtain food, is known as agriculture. So this agriculture also we can called in Hindi krisi. What we can call? Krisi. So this all words we used to observe in some kind of ads and all movie. What we can say that related to farmers. So these ads we used to heard these words, because Hindi is our national language. We need to know these words also. Kisan means farmer. Like that, agriculture means krisi. KRISHI. Understand? So with this, I'm going to end this today's session, and next class we will study, understanding, what are the various agriculture practices. Understanding what are the various agriculture practices, like basic practices of crop production, like preparation of soil, sowing, addition and understand adding manures and fertilizers, irrigation and like etc. We'll study in the next class. I'm going to end this today's class with this. Please listen carefully. If you have any doubt, you just ask me free. Thank you.